Welcome to the Monkeyin Around Marketing Tips podcast. My name is Terry Yannick. I am the Director of Operations for Tampa.media. I have our guest here today. Very happy to be sitting down with Claudio, owner of Renzo's Argentinian Grill.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Awesome. We've got Will Crabtree, owner of everything in Tampa, pretty much. Website guru, SEO, Google AdWords, marketing savant.
For sure.
You know, we've been doing this together for quite some time, and
pretty
much everything marketing is just kind of, we can look to Will for some kind of answer or idea.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about today is websites.
Right.
Yeah.
Websites.
Something I'm excited about. A little bit of background from
You're
me.
really good at it.
I mean, that's an overstatement, but I've been doing it a long time.
Okay.
Right? Those two don't necessarily mean the same thing.
Okay.
You're proficient.
I'm proficient.
You're very
You're
proficient.
technically
Yeah.
savvy on him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I mean, I started building websites on a device called Web TV
Really?
back in 1994. It was
Cool.
a cable box that plugged into your TV, right? And no mouse. You navigated everything from a keyboard.
Oof.
And I learned how to write HTML code. Right?
Nice.
So, like, I was building websites about my favorite athletes, you know.
That's cool.
I wasn't a nerd, I swear. I was a normal 12-year-old that was
mean,
just sitting in my bedroom building websites.
Yeah, no, I feel infinite. Like, you guys have turned me on to some incredible tools because going back to like the old school, right? We had like, remember when you had to do cascading style sheets in Dreamweaver?
I was just talking about Dreamweaver this
Yeah,
morning.
Dreamweaver was the thing, and it was
Yeah.
just, you can spend a whole year to build one site.
Well, you know, going before that, you would actually, the way you built your CSS was actually like in tables. So
Yeah.
you would build your columns and rows, and then you would put your content in each cell. And good God, like it was just a nightmare, you know. And so CSS came out, and actually like was revolutionary for us. Like, wait, every page can look the same, and I don't have to hand code every single HTML tag and div tag and, you know, all the nerdy stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, after Dreamweaver, we get, you know, Joomla and WordPress and all these other tools that have kind of emerged.
Yeah, and
So-
also too, like so many people have built businesses, not like the actual end user, but people have built businesses creating places where people can build websites, and it's never been as good as it today, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that we're at a point where the technology part of it is no longer what we need to focus on now. And I think that what we're talking about today is more like what we're putting on the websites.
Yeah.
How do we get to people on the websites, right?
Well, it's, you know, when you're building a website, the how is important, right? And it's fun to talk about how far we've come, right? And we look back at history and how difficult it was, and it's still not easy, but it's much more streamlined, and there's a lot more really cool shit that we can do with websites. But yeah, the biggest thing is your user experience, right? Making sure that your website is easy to navigate, that people can find the information that they want. The attention span of everyone is so finite that you have to ensure that you're giving the precise information as quickly as possible. You want written content because you have to have written content for SEO purposes, but people really probably aren't going to read most of the content on your website. So you also have to have videos and pictures too.
Yeah.
And a combination of those things, and you can't sacrifice SEO, but you also can't sacrifice having a good UI. So finding the happy medium between the two is sometimes a challenge.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I think text is there for a reason, and what I found, and I've learned this the hard way, is that people are always right, and the crowds are always right, and so, yes, text people will read, but just keep it down to a sentence, even
Right.
more than an elevator speech, because that will engage people, and it will support what you're seeing.
Well, and from an SEO standpoint, like you usually want to have like 500 to 1,000 words on a page, right? And that's the topic of conversation and that dialogue or in that content. And we've been talking about this for one of our websites of like, we have a bunch of SEO content that we really don't want people to see, and even putting a thing at the top that's like, this is not for human consumption. You know,
Right.
just like-
Well, you want to present as a subject matter expert on whatever that SEO page is about, right? You want to speak with authority, and I think even Google can recognize that, right?
100%.
And that's one way to get business, you know, traffic into the website is through SEO. But that's the other part of this, and kind of like probably another conversation entirely, is how many avenues we have now to drive traffic to the website,
100%.
right? If you look in social media, drip campaigns, targeting, right? Like all these different methods that we can use to get somebody to land on our website. But it all comes back to we all have the same problem with our website, right? At the end of the day, no matter how they get there, it's what you just discussed, which is you got to keep them there, right? Yeah. You got to give them what they want right away. And then you've got to get them interacting with the website, right? So what are your thoughts on some of those methods, right? Like I know everybody is really quick to do data aggregation, so they're throwing pop-ups to get 10% off to subscribe. I'll be honest, I click out of those and like my likelihood of bouncing off that site skyrockets.
Yeah, I mean, if I land on a website and I'm immediately getting a pop-up when I land on the website, I'm out. I click off, right? Yeah. I'm not staying on that site.
Claudio's face tells me that he's put some pop-ups.
No. On the no. It's just blowing my mind because on the contrary, like I look at this as in like people coming to my house or people going to your house. I look at a website as a house, and so like when people come to visit you, is your house cool enough where people are like, oh wow, like let's go visit, like, or like, your house sucks, let's go to a restaurant instead. You know what I mean? So I've always seen the website like that. Now the whole coupon thing and the whole pop-up thing, actually I've never been one, and I guess that it might be to my detriment, but I've never been one to like just blow you up with like subscribe right away.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
You got to give an experience, right? You got to give them a reason to want to do it, right? So it depends on how you're driving the traffic to the website too, determines how you interact with them as well. I've been seeing in the Google ads and the other digital marketing that we've been doing, most of the traffic is coming from mobile now. So you're far more mobile device than you are on PC or desktop. Yep. So making sure that your website is very mobile friendly, and even taking some of that content that you would have visible on your website from a PC standpoint, scaling that way down for the mobile experience, so that you're getting straight to the point when you get them there from a mobile. And then adding retargeting as well, so that even if you do get them on the website and they do click away, you can still follow them with ads and show them and continue to show them ads to try to get them to come back.
Yeah. And that was, when we met, that was kind of the biggest thing that struck me is walked into the office, left, and automatically I'm getting served ads. And I'm like, well, that's weird, right? Like, interesting, right? And of course, I'm curious, so I engage with it, right? And then it just like, on steroids, just cranked up, and it was getting me everywhere. And I was like, oh, okay. So I actually learned a lot just from that experience of, trying to find out, like, how are they doing this, right? But the biggest thing was, and like, let's dig into it. At the time, I'm working for a competitor of TampaPrinter.com, right? And I, roll into the shop trying to sell some printers to the printer guy, which is, kind of ironic. And but the biggest thing that I noticed from visiting the website was how far off it was from the competition. There was nobody in the printer space, retail printing space, that had a website as intuitive, as robust, and I would say kind of capturing the imagination, right? Like there's all these products and they're right there front and center, right? And I'm looking at products that I don't even want. I don't even know what they are. But now I want to know more, like what is this? What is, polycarbonate signage? I don't know what that is. I've never had a use for it, but there I am, like digging in and learning more. And that's all because of the brilliance that kind of went into the UI of that website specifically, which kind of segues me into my thoughts with this is, so we have WordPress, which, I'm so proud of you, right? It's like a Papa Bear moment for me that was able to get you introduced to WordPress and learning my favorite builder within WordPress, and then see what you've done with it. It really speaks volumes about how easy it is now for even an independent business owner, maybe not to have the best website in their market, but at least to have something that they're comfortable with visitors.
Oh, and it can look great right off the bat if you have some creativity and you have some experience with previous. But I would say the one thing that we haven't touched upon, which is as a business owner and you guys being my vendor or the people that guide me through this, is I think that people need to ask themselves, why do you have a website? What is your website for?
Yeah, so we're going to get into the Simon Sinek thing, right? Like, what is your why, right? And I think for everything that you do, you should have a good reason, right? And the website especially. Now, kind of answer that and pair it with where I was headed is WordPress might not be the solution for you. Squarespace might not be the solution for you. We have a homegrown
monster,
very, very custom monster of a website, right? And that's what our business requires, right? But then there's some businesses that don't require that and can do very well with a home-built, right, homegrown WordPress site that they were able to put together themselves, right? And you know, you have so many pre-built layouts where all you have to do is like fill in your content and you can have a working website. I think the first reason to have a website is for validity, right? To ensure your reputation. So anytime I'm looking into a company.
Yeah, people say the website is your new business card. Now, in the case of Tampa Printer, what I found really impressive is that you nailed it. Like, I can very easily answer why Will's website is the way it is. The reason why the Tampa Printer website exists is because you service your customers with your website.
Right.
And not many people can harness the power of automating and servicing your customers with your website. Most people have a website just as a presentation, as a card, as a business card, as a place where people can find out more. In the case of Will, TampaPrinter.com's website, it's incredible the amount of things that customers of TampaPrinter.com can do at that website.
And that, you know, we've actually found that our customers don't realize that, right? We internally, we use our website far more, right? We use it on behalf of our customer 95% of the time, I'd say.
It's
maybe less.
More like 70-30. I mean,
Okay.
we do have clients that go to the website and are self-sustained and they order online and they do their reorders and they never interact with us on the phone or via email at all, right? Or very little. But then we also have clients that have never even been to our website that have been clients for years.
And in your defense, the UI that you guys have, it's partially to blame or not to blame for that. However, I would say that people, society, technology, and the way that we do things today as the world, it's not ready for that. We're almost there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I think
people still want the warm and fuzzy. Give you a phone
there's a
call
lot
kind
of
a thing.
factors that play into that ratio with Tampa Printer. We have a huge customer service team that helps service them, right? That's part of it. But on the other side of it, right, yeah, we can have this site where a customer can order all of their print marketing stuff, right? And that was done through a lot of planning and strategy, which I think is highly overlooked in website design. Just want it to look pretty. I want it to look pretty. I want it to look pretty. And there's very little consideration for what's going to happen when the customer engages with this website. And I think what you've done with Renzos.com has been special, right? Because it's very to the point, right? For you as a business owner, you want reservations booked, right? That's your goal of your website. And you've made that very intuitive, very simple, streamlined. The secondary to that, right, is a way to boost those reservations is for people to be able to see what they can come and eat at your restaurant, right?
Like most restaurants. And then to order online, right? But it's funny that you bring those two things up because it was a simple solution that turned everything around. It was Will saying, look, man, you don't have an order online and reservations button on the landing page. And I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
First
and it's
front
amazing
center.
because
Should be
on
front
top,
and center.
on
Yep.
top he used to say, order online and book reservations, and Will goes, you'll be amazed how many people on a mobile device don't get that. They get the 3 lines, and they just want to get to that button.
They get the hamburger icon. Yeah.
Yep.
Which, and that's what when I talk about strategy and planning, right, is having that foresight of how are we going to approach this need and present it to the customer, not only so that the customer is getting what they want. I want to be able to book my reservation quickly. Right? And after I book my reservation, and me and my wife get in the car and we drive to the restaurant, she has to read every single item on the menu before we walk in the door, right? Otherwise, your poor server is going to be waiting a while for us to order, right?
Interesting.
So you want to make that menu highly visible as well, right? And having done that, which you have now done, thanks, Will. Great suggestion. What's your experience been with your website interaction? Are your customers bouncing? Are they engaging? Are you seeing a change in behavior?
Everything that we're seeing is exactly what we think, and we have to be pragmatic about the fact that we have limited usability on our website because we are you got to go to experience, Renzo. So it's not like I can deliver food to you over the internet on a device. However, what's interesting.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, right? No, but what's interesting is that the turnover right now, it's almost like it's incredibly high.
Okay.
Because, and I don't want to give you exact percentages because I don't remember right now, but what are the two functionalities on my website right now? A, find out where we're at. B, order online. And C, make a reservation. It takes a minute to do that.
Yeah.
So in that sense, my website is extremely versatile, right? And then it's always good to have people looking at it and say, you need to do this, you need to do that. Now, one thing that I want to say about Will's website, which is highly impressive, is most people don't even get to this. Yes, we've mentioned the fact that most people, your customers are not using it as much. That's fine. But what I find impressive too, because I'm behind the doors, I'm behind the counter here at TampaPrinter.com, is that the data that the website is generating is the very same data that you guys are using to administer the company. In other words, there is a seamless transition between what the customer is doing and what you guys are doing. So it's one smooth machine that feeds each other. And I think everyone should get to that at any scale of business. You know what I mean? You should be able to grab information. Right now, when people make a reservation, we're using that email or that phone number when people make a phone call, and we're serving them ads. We're reminding them to come to Renzo's because sometimes people just need to be reminded to come to the restaurant. 100%. So in that sense, we are ready. Now that we've mastered that, we're ready for step 2, whatever that is. Whatever comes the next on the website, we're ready to find out. And I'm stoked about it because I never thought I would reach that level, to be honest with you. So I'm there and I'm ready for new shit.
Well,
let's go.
The adoption and what you've done with it already has been amazing, right? And the growth that we've been able to experience, especially the last couple of years with the changes that we've made in making TampaPrinter.com more portable, right, and fit our needs and make us more flexible as an organization, I think is a huge key, right? Like a lot of people get into, they're locked into what they've done at their first version of their website, and it's hard to break away from, and they're handcuffed by that. And I can't tell you, I get so many calls, right? Hey, this particular part of my website just isn't displaying anymore. What's going on, right?
You got degraded.
And I log into the back end. I've got a client right now that I'm working with where I log into the back end, and I'm like, dude, you're on WordPress 3.6, right? We're way ahead of that now, right? You're on PHP 4. We're on 8.2, right?
It's constant. You got to constantly be updating, keeping it new.
It's a full-time job. It really is.
You have to be monitoring that stuff, and especially. So here's the downside to WordPress is you're sometimes at the mercy of the plugin developers, right? Yeah. So the one plugin that shows all the pictures of this guy's his portfolio, basically amazing photography, it's gone. Oh. And I said, how? Well, I see the plugin. What's going on with the? Okay, and I'm googling the plugin and looking at the guy just pulled the plugin.
Did he have the photos backed up?
He kind of. He had him in one of those third-party photo apps, right? And that's how he displayed them. Was this?
It pulled from the app.
There was a plugin that just that API directly to that app. All you had to do was log in, quick, easy, painless, right?
Right.
And it would display them in a gallery that looked really nice on the website. But again, you're at the mercy of this plugin developer who didn't want to keep up with the PHP software upgrades and the WordPress updates.
But you're constant.
And all of a sudden his plugin no longer works.
Yeah.
And now the highlight of this guy's website is gone, and he's going, what do I do? Well, you pay me a lot of money to find a solution, right? That's right. That's what it comes down to. Now, had you kind of kept up with this, and in terms of if you're listening to the podcast and you're not sure, well, this sounds scary, what do I do? The best thing you can do is have an ongoing relationship with the developer, right? That's been, and I can say that, right? I'm supposed to say that, I have to say that, but I truly mean that. Now, my clients that have maintained ongoing relationships with me.
I was just talking to you about that before the podcast.
Sure.
So going back to in summary here, what do you think could be next? What's next?
What's next in the world of the web?
Yeah,
websites,
or even for me, just what do you think? Because we were talking about it earlier. To wrap it up,
AI.
Yeah,
AI.
AI is definitely going to be the next as far as the big impact in how we build. It's already making a difference in what we do in SEO and how we build sites and how we interact with technology and marketing as a whole. I mean, you're light years ahead of most people, in that you have your website connected to your POS, you have your website connected to your delivery systems for your Uber Eats and your DoorDash, you have your reservation system API and connected to your Google and your OpenTable and all of those things.
All of it.
So the fact that you have all of that you're already a step ahead than most restaurants and light years ahead of most small business owners, right? And that's really what it comes down to, in that knowing that all of this stuff is available and that you can do all of this stuff and that it doesn't cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a website that does all of this stuff. It'll cost you a few $1,000s, right? And some of it you could probably do yourself. The thing about it, though, and what I always like to use is, like, as a business owner and someone that's always, like, done things myself, there's many times that I wish I would just have paid someone to do it. I learned how to do it. I figured it out, but I'm never going to use that skill ever again. Yep. And the amount of time that it took me to learn it, to be able to do it, I would have been much happier just to pay someone else to do it.
Great.
Well,
but aside from that, man, like, big kudos to you. The website's great. It looks awesome.
No, I mean,
I use it frequently. I love Renzo's.
I couldn't have done it without you guys, and I think that we definitely should pick up this on episode number 2.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a follow up
on what's next. On what's next for the websites. We can use me as a case example, and I think that also too, we need to. I love. As a person that's done marketing for the last 30 years, I would love to dig in a little more on the next episode as to why people are not using the website, because you use it for them. So I'll leave it at that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's a good problem.
It is, yeah.
Because you like to solve problems.
I do love to solve problems.
So,
it's a good
so
question.
we'll follow this up on an
let's pick
episode
this up.
2.
Great, man.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys
good to
for
see you
being
guys.
with us.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Great.
So subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere and everywhere you can
Thriller or something.
Listen to a podcast. We're there.
Yeah, GorillaGurus.com. You can find links to all of our podcast availability.
All right, follow us on Instagram too. All
All
right,
right,
nice.
we're gonna wrap up.
All right,
Thanks,
let's
guys.
go. Yeah.
See you guys.